The late evening air was thick with the scent of damp earth and distant city lights, a gentle hum of traffic the only constant companion. You'd just stepped out of a friend's gathering, a bit tired but heart full from good conversation. A quick tap on your phone, a few moments of anticipation, and then the familiar glow of headlights approaching. The car glides to a stop, the driver offers a soft smile, and you settle into the back seat, grateful for the convenience, the ease, the quiet journey home. It's a scene played out millions of times every day, a testament to the modern miracle of ride-sharing. Uber, Lyft, and their counterparts have woven themselves into the fabric of our daily lives, offering unparalleled access to transportation. For many of us, it's not just a convenience, it's a lifeline, a bridge to work, to appointments, to social gatherings, especially when public transport isn't an option. But as that car carries you smoothly through the night, does a quiet question ever bubble up? Beyond the comfort and the seamless technology, what's the true cost of this convenience? We hear stories of drivers finding flexible income, providing for their families. We also hear stories of incredibly long hours, dwindling pay, and the constant pressure of a system that often feels stacked against them. This is where our journey begins today, exploring the complex landscape of ride-sharing, not just as consumers, but as people of faith. Is this powerful service primarily a community resource, empowering individuals and connecting neighborhoods? Or does it, at times, edge into the territory of labor exploitation, benefiting a few at the expense of many? Specifically, for Christians, how do we navigate these waters, making choices that align with our deepest values? The Bible, a timeless guide for living justly and compassionately, has a great deal to say about work, wages, and our treatment of those who labor. From the Old Testament prophets to the letters of Paul, there's a consistent thread emphasizing fairness and care for the worker. Consider Deuteronomy 24:14-15, which states, "You shall not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, whether he is one of your brothers or one of the sojourners who are in your land within your towns. You shall give him his wages on the same day before the sun sets, for he is poor and depends on it. Otherwise, he will cry against you to the Lord, and it would be a sin in you." This passage isn't just about timely payment. It's about acknowledging the worker's vulnerability and dependence on their wages for survival. It underscores an ethical obligation to ensure that those who labor receive fair compensation, especially when their livelihoods hang in the balance. Then there's the powerful indictment in James 5:4. "Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you, and the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts." This isn't a gentle suggestion, it's a stark warning against unjust practices that withhold what is rightfully owed to workers. The very wages cry out, a potent image of injustice that pierces the heavens. These verses call us to consider the person behind the service. When we hail an Uber or a Lyft, we are engaging with an individual, often someone using their own vehicle, their own fuel, and their own time, hoping to make a living. They are not merely an algorithm or a vehicle on a screen. They are someone's parent, child, friend, neighbor trying to navigate their economic reality. Now, it's true that many drivers appreciate the flexibility ride-sharing offers. It can be a vital bridge for those between jobs, a way to supplement income, or an entry point for those traditionally excluded from the workforce. For some, it truly is a choice that offers autonomy. But for many others, it's not a choice but a necessity, driven by economic pressures. And in that scenario, the power dynamic shifts significantly. Drivers often bear the brunt of rising fuel costs, vehicle maintenance, insurance, and the ever-present threat of deactivation, all while their per-ride earnings fluctuate, sometimes feeling increasingly slim. So, as Christians, how do we reconcile our need for convenient transportation with our commitment to justice and fair treatment? There's no simple yes or no answer, no specific biblical injunction against using a particular app. Instead, it invites us into a deeper, more intentional way of living. First, it calls for awareness. Are we informed about the conditions and challenges faced by drivers in our areas? Do we understand how the payment structure works and what percentage actually goes to the person behind the wheel? This isn't about guilt, but about being informed consumers. Second, it calls for generosity. While companies determine base pay, we have agency in tipping. A generous tip, freely given, can significantly impact a driver's take-home pay and communicate appreciation for their service. It's a tangible way to extend grace and acknowledge their labor. Third, it calls for advocacy. Can we lend our voice to discussions around fair labor practices, worker classification, and policies that support the dignity of all workers, including those in the gig economy? This might mean supporting legislation, engaging with the companies themselves, or simply talking about these issues within our communities. Finally, it calls for discernment in our choices. Sometimes ride-sharing might be the only viable option. But when we have alternatives, perhaps public transportation, carpooling, or even walking, are we considering the broader ethical implications? Do we choose convenience above all else, or do we weigh it against our values? There's a beautiful tension here. We are called to be wise stewards of our resources, including our time and money, but also to love our neighbor as ourselves. This means seeing the person in the driver's seat, acknowledging their humanity, and striving to make choices that honor their dignity and labor. It's about participating in economic systems with our eyes wide open, rather than blindly accepting convenience. So, the next time you tap that app or settle into the back seat, take a moment. Reflect on the journey, not just the physical one, but the ethical one. How can we, as followers of Christ, use these modern conveniences in a way that truly reflects a right share? A sharing that seeks justice, fairness, and compassion for all. It's a question that invites ongoing thought, conversation, and intentional action. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this complex topic. How do you navigate these choices in your own life? Please share your reflections in the comments below. And if this discussion resonated with you, consider subscribing for more conversations that explore faith and everyday life. Thank you for joining us on this journey of thoughtful living.